crazy week, like all my weeks tend to be, but it hasn't been too bad. The one thing that did come up this week and that was really upsetting to me is that my mom called me on Monday, and I'm in the middle of planning my wedding, and it's just kind of a stressful thing to deal with. But my mom called me and said that she had invited 6 people from her church to attend the wedding, and it just really upset me. And our wedding is going to be in Jamaica, and so it's a destination wedding, and it just seems really weird to me that my mom would do that, especially with such like a small intimate wedding like we're going to have.
So this week's been very busy, and you're planning your wedding on top of this busy week, and got a phone call from your mom, and she invited 6 people you don't even know. Is that right, what I'm hearing?
Yeah, you're hearing right. And I know one of the women vaguely from when I was really, really young. And so what my mom said is, she's like, you've known these people since you were a baby. But what I wanted to tell her was, like, really, I've met them once when I was like tiny, and I have no idea who they are now. And yeah, it was really upsetting, and I told my mom I really wasn't like comfortable with that, and I didn't really want those women there, and she got kind of upset, and she said you just need to go with the flow of life, and this isn't anything to get upset over. So I guess I'm just like, would it be rude to tell him not to go? Should I just deal with it and go with the flow like my mom said?
So you're kind of feeling like, even though I kind of know these people, I don't know them very well. I only met them when I was a kid, and your mom kind of invited them. And I heard you mention that it kind of upset you. What was kind of upsetting for you?
Well, it was upsetting because, like, my mom really hasn't been involved with the wedding process at all. Like, she's told me, like, I can't really be involved with weddings. Like, my mom's an amazing woman, and I love her so much, but she's just not a planner, and she's not into that kind of stuff, which is one of the reasons why I decided to go to Jamaica in the first place to get married, was because I knew I wouldn't really have my mom, like, there to help me plan, and so it just seemed easier just to go somewhere else and not have to worry about that stuff. And so it was upsetting to me because she kind of takes it like it's not an important thing in my life, and she's just going to invite these women and not even ask me my opinion about it, and then just tell me to go with the flow. And that's what really upset me, because for me it was like, you're not even helping me with this wedding, and then you're just inviting these women. Seemed like, yeah, it really hurt my feelings.
So initially it kind of seemed like she wasn't involved, and maybe she didn't want to be, because she's not a planner, like you said. And then she kind of all of a sudden had some input and of what she kind of wanted to happen with the wedding, which was inviting these 6 people.
Yeah. Exactly. And so and then really I like told my mom, like, this is not okay with me. Like, I feel like the one time in my life where I shouldn't have to go with the flow would be my wedding. And she just, she didn't seem to really care about that. And so I really wasn't even able to express, like, the fact that I was angry. She just kind of swept that aside. So what I had to do instead is call my sister on the phone, who lives in Utah, and tell her what happened. And then she's going to be my maid of honor, and she was like, well, don't worry, I'll call mom and I'll straighten it out for you. And only then did my mom understand how important it was to me, and call me back and say, like, hey, if you really don't want these women to come, I guess we can try to uninvite them.
So your wedding was kind of your one opportunity to kind of have some control
Yeah.
The one thing you could control should be your wedding. And you mentioned you didn't even have an opportunity to kind of express your feelings, that it was just kind of shoved under the rug.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's exactly how it was. When I was on the phone with her, she just kind of laughed and was like, oh, Maya, you need to go with the flow. Like, that's life. Mm-hmm. And so I was angry, and I, like, sounded angry on the phone, and then I said, like, I don't know, like, Mom, this isn't right. And then after that, only after I talked to my sister Anna and explained to her what my mom had did, and Anna said, don't worry, I'll call Mom and take care of all of it. Only then did she, like, come back to me and say, I guess I didn't understand. Mm-hmm. So it was like she didn't really care about, like, how I felt about it.
Mm-hmm. So you kind of wanted to express your feelings. And your mom didn't really give you an opportunity. But once your sister did, she kind of listened to your sister.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm just kind of thinking, well, why couldn't you just listen to me in the first place? Like, how come it had to come from my sister Anna before you would realize, like, oh, hey, maybe this is important and I should respect it.
Sure. So you were kind of thinking, why weren't my feelings validated initially?
Yeah, exactly. And my mom and I are so close, and I can't, like, imagine going more than a week without talking to her. Mm-hmm. And so it's just weird to me that this is, like, something that she's just doesn't care about. Mm-hmm. Well, I feel like she doesn't care about it. And it's, like, a huge thing that's going to be going on in my life. And so I don't even really know how to approach it from here now.
So what I hear you saying is your relationship with your mom is very important to you. Mm-hmm. And your marriage is very important to you. And you don't feel that she's realizing the importance of that. And it kind of seems like it surprises you.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what it is. It is, like, surprising, and it does feel like my mom and my family are so important to me, and Sam and our marriage is going to be really important to me. And why isn't my mom really acknowledging that? And my best friend just got married, and seeing her mom be super involved with the wedding planning, and just her mom took care of everything and was so excited about everything. And then seeing my mom be the complete opposite is really hard for me to kind of be like, how come I don't get that when I really want that?
So you're kind of seeing your best friend's mom interact with her and her wedding, and seeing how much she takes that seriously, and then you're not kind of really seeing that with your mom, and that's kind of hard for you.
Yeah, it really is. And I realize that my mom has, like, never been, like, the planner. Even when I was younger, I planned all my own birthday parties, and I would, like, just give her a list of the stuff that I needed, and she would go out and buy it, and then I would get everything ready for the party. And so I realized that that's just, like, not her strong suit.
Yeah.
But I would have thought that my wedding, of all things, would be something she could just be like, okay, I'm gonna really become invested in this, but she hasn't.
And it sounds like you feel very important to her, but you feel that these important events are not important to her.
Yeah, and I know I'm important to her, and I know she loves me. That's never, like, a question, but, like, yeah, this is an important event, and she just doesn't seem to care about it, or she does care about it only after my sister calls her and then, like, tells her to care about it. Mm-hmm. But if it comes from me, it's kind of, like, not a big deal.
Mm-hmm. So you feel that your sister, when she expresses her feelings and her emotions to your mom, is taken a little more seriously than your emotions and your feelings? Is that right?
Yeah, that is right. And I've always felt really close to my mom, like closer than my sister was to my mom. And my sister and my mom went through like a really rough patch and before she left for college. So I always felt like my place in the house was very secure and my sister's was like rocky. And then now that my sister's in college, she and my parents have a great relationship, which is awesome. But then it's like I've had this great relationship with them my entire life.
Right.
So how come they're now listening to Anna and not me? So I don't know if it's like I'm angry at my mom for not caring about my wedding or if I'm angry at my mom for listening to Anna and not me.
Because you've always held the dynamics in your family. You've always been very secure in your relationship with both your parents.
Yeah.
And now you're not maybe feeling that way?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've always known that, this will sound bad, but I've always known that I'm like the good child. Like my parents don't need to worry about me. They don't have to worry about me doing anything bad. Like I'm gonna be doing the right thing and they can almost come to me. And so now Anna's kind of taken that role and she's now telling my parents like, okay, like, you need to care about Maya's wedding and you need to do this and this and this. And then they listen to her. And when I come to them with that information, it seems less important.
Mm-hmm. So you've always kind of held that role of the hero almost in your family.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
The one who kind of always takes care of things and you don't have to worry about her.
Yeah.
And maybe not so much that you're losing that, but your sister is having a different role in the family too.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And so it's just kind of having to get used to Anna's role, which I don't want it to seem like I don't want that for her, because of course I want her to have a great relationship with my parents, but at the same time I also don't want them to forget me in all of this. And I know like I'm going to be married and I'm on my own now and I'm kind of like starting my own family, but I don't want to lose that connection that I have with my family. And I feel like it's all somehow wrapped around the wedding and creating this perfect, intimate, small, family-only wedding that will somehow hold it all together. Mm-hmm. And yeah.
I see. So you want those things for your sister. You want for her to have a good relationship with your parents. But you also don't want to let go of your relationship with your parents as well.
Right.
And you feel like your wedding is kind of the glue that's kind of holding us all together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's why it makes it so hard when my mom just doesn't care. Well, it feels like she doesn't care really. Mm-hmm. And it was just kind of like the cherry on top when she called and told me to get ready for just 6 more people to come, when like she doesn't even know what I had in mind for the vision for my wedding, and she wasn't involved in any of the discussion with that. And so for her to tell me just go with the flow and it's fine that I invite these people feels like it's kind of crumbling a little bit. Like my perfect dream that I had in my head and what I built it up to is slowly like becoming unraveled.
So you had kind of control over this one issue, which you said, this is kind of one thing I should have some control over.
Yeah.
And you kind of slowly feel like that's being chipped away a little bit.
Right.
And your dream isn't maybe what you dreamed it to be.
Yeah, exactly. And in the past, when I've built things up in my head and I've had this perfect image of how it's going to go, and then when it doesn't go that way, I kind of lose it. And like that's the last thing I would want to happen, like with an event surrounding my wedding. Like I want it to go beautifully, and I want my mom to like know what's going on and know what will make me happy, and not not that she would sabotage it at all, but just be in her own world and not really even know what was going on. And then that's where I feel like the like I would maybe have a really hard time enjoying myself if my perfect vision of what was supposed to happen wasn't happening. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And so you want your mom to maybe keep in mind your vision of your wedding and kind of what you want that to look like.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And like I just don't, because in the past, when things haven't gone my way, I really have just totally lost it and broken down and just kind of like cry, and I just feel so anxious, and I can't imagine that happening to me on my wedding. And so like, yeah, I just, with my mom not really acknowledging it, I'm scared that that's what's going to happen almost. Mm-hmm. And my sister kind of gets that, and it seems that like right now my mom is really only listening to things that my sister is saying, and so when it comes to that, and so I just don't know how to pull it all together, really.
Yeah, sounds like you kind of a tough situation. And on one hand, you want this great relationship with your mom, but you also want your feelings to be heard as well.
Yeah.
And you're kind of struggling to bridge those two together.
Yeah, exactly. I think what needs to happen is I just need to talk to my mom about it and just kind of come clean with all my things, because I just kind of kept it inside. So I think just talking to her about it, like talking to you, kind of like shows me the big picture. So if I bring her this, I think, and laying it out in front of her will really kind of help to show her where I'm coming from, and maybe she'll listen more.
Well, Maya, it sounds like you have a plan of kind of what you're wanting to do, and we kind of explored some of those feelings around, not being heard and wanting your wedding to be perfect, which is understandable. I think most brides feel that way. So there's definitely something to think about for next